Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, my subscribers on YouTube, my peeps on Facebook, and all the NHL fans on House of Nerdum. That is right, it is time for my 2014 Stanley Cup playoff picks, and this would be the first round, better known as the Division Semifinals. Now, of course, just to give you a little rundown of how things go, the the NHL adopted a new league thing for the 2013-2014 season, as the Detroit Red Wings and the Columbus Blue Jackets were moved from the Eastern Conference and the Winnipeg Jets to the Western Conference. The 16-team Eastern Conference was then divided into two 8-team divisions, while the 14-team Western Conference was divided into two 7-team divisions as a part of the realignment. The NHL also switched its former conference-based playoff structure to a divisional-based playoff structure as well. The top 3 teams from each division would qualify for the conference playoffs. The remaining 2 playoff spots in each conference would be wildcard teams, which are the top 2 clubs from each conference that failed to win a divisional playoff spot. For the first time since 1973, only one Canadian team qualified for the playoffs, the Montreal Canucks. Detroit increased its consecutive playoff appearance streak to 23 seasons, the longest current streak in the NHL. Only the Boston Bruins, who have 29 from 1968 to 96, the Chicago Blackhawks, who have 28 from 1970 to 97, Montreal, who has 25 from 1980 to 2004, and the St. Louis Blues, who did it Montreal did it 25 times, my mistake. And St. Louis Blues, who did it 24 times from 71 to 94, have achieved longer streaks. Furthermore, of the other major North American sports, only the Syracuse Nationals / Philadelphia 76ers have come close to this feat with 22 playoff appearances in a row. Excuse me, gotta take a drink. That feels good. The Dallas Stars ended the league's third longest playoff appearance drought, qualifying for the postseason for the first time in 6 years. Now let's get going. By the way, here's how the matchups go. In the Eastern Conference, it will be the Boston Bruins taking on the Red Wings, the Tampa Bay Lightning taking on Montreal, the Pittsburgh Penguins taking on Columbus, and the Rangers taking on the Flyers in the Eastern Conference. Over in the Western Conference, the Avalanche will take on the Minnesota Wild, the St. Louis Blues take on the Blackhawks, the Ducks take on the Stars, somebody cue Nemesis, and the Sharks will take on the Kings. No, not Sacramento, the Los Angeles Kings. So let's get this going, starting with the Eastern Conference. Boston will be taking on the Detroit Red Wings. This series, by the way, starts April 18th. The Boston Bruins won the President's Trophy, finding the league's best record with 117 points. The Detroit Red Wings earned 93 points during the regular season and entered the playoffs as the Eastern Conference second wildcard team. This is the 8th playoff appearance meeting between these two of the original 6 teams as well. Keep that in mind. With Boston having won 4 of the 7 previous series. The last time these two met was back in 1957 Stanley Cup Finals, which Boston won in 5 games. Now, the Red Wings won 3 of the 4 games this year in the regular season. Now, I'm going to take Boston on this one. Don't get me wrong, Detroit did beat them 3 out of 4 times this year in the season, but as we know, you play differently in the season and postseason. Just look at the Spurs for that for basketball. Now, of course, I do believe the Red Wings will get a few wins in this series, but I'm going to take the Boston Bruins, who I think is the better overall team, in 6. I think Detroit will probably sneak at least 2 wins, 1 at home and 1 on the road, but they will not be able to catch Boston. Next, Tampa Bay Lightning will take on Montreal. This series starts April 16th. The Tampa Bay Lightning finished 2nd overall in the Atlantic Division, earning 101 points. The Montreal Canucks earned 100 points during the regular season to finish 3rd overall in the Atlantic Division. This is the 2nd playoff meeting between these two teams. The only previous meeting was back in 2004 Eastern Conference Semifinals, in which Tampa Bay swept Montreal out at the playoffs en route to their Stanley Cup victory. The Lightning won 3 of the 4 games this regular season against them. And I'm taking Tampa Bay as well in this one. I do give credit to Montreal. They are the only Canadian team, so I'm sure everybody in Canada is going to be pro-Montreal. But I got to go with Tampa. Tampa Bay Lightning is a good team. I think they're going to be the dark horse in this, just because of the fact that I don't think a lot of people are going to give them a shot to beat the Bruins, because that's who they would play next in the next round. But I'm going to take Tampa Bay on this one. I think it's going to be 6 games as well. I think Montreal's going to give it a hell of a fight, but got to go Tampa Bay on this one. And by the way, like I said, that series starts April 16th, so mark that down if you're a Montreal or Lightning fan. Heading to the other side of the divisional semifinals, we have the Pittsburgh Penguins. My Penguins, as many of you know who follow me on Facebook, will be taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, the Penguins finished first overall in the Metropolitan Division, earning 109 points. The Columbus Blue Jacks earned 93 points during the regular season and entered the playoffs as the Eastern Conference first wild card, making the postseason for the first time since '09 and only the second time in franchise history for the Blue Jackets. This is the first playoff meeting between these two teams. The Penguins won all 5 games this year, and because of that, and besides on my team, I'm going to take the Penguins. I think the Blue Jackets, I think they could be the ultimate Cinderella team if they pull it off. I don't think they will, though. I'm going to take Pittsburgh in 4. I mean, don't get me wrong, I tip my hat to Columbus. You know, you got to the playoffs. A lot of people probably didn't think you were going to make it when the season started. But hey, you deserve a lot of credit getting there. But I think you're going to get bounced out quickly. I got my Penguins in 4. By the way, that series starts, like I said, April 16th. And the last series on the Eastern Conference, which will be starting April 17th, the New York Rangers would take on the Philadelphia Flyers. The Rangers finished second overall in the M Division, earning 96 points, while the Flyers earned 94 points during the regular season and finished third overall. Now, this is the 11th playoff meeting for these two teams, which Philadelphia has won 6 of the 10 previous series. The most recent meeting was the 1997 Eastern Conference Finals, which Philadelphia won in 5 games. Now, each team won 2 games this year in the regular season, so they went split. This one, to me, is probably out of all 4 games in the Western Conference that started off, is probably the hardest one, because both teams are very even. So I'm just going to say right now, it's going to go to 7 games. Question is, who do you pick? For me, I'm actually going to take the Flyers on this one. I think if they can somehow, because I think for the Flyers to win, you're going to have to win at least one of the 2 first games in New York. If you do not, you're in big trouble. Because you're the road team. You have got to win one of the games at home. You got to win one of the games at Madison Square Garden. So, I think it's going to go to 7. I think Flyers will take it in 7. By the way, that series starts, like I said, April 17th, ladies and gentlemen. Moving on to the Western Conference, the Colorado Avalanche will take on the Minnesota Wild. This series starts April 17th. Now, the Avalanche finished first overall in the Central Division, earning 112 points. The Minnesota Wild earned 98 points during the regular season and ended as the playoffs as the Western Conference first wildcard team. This was the 3rd playoff meeting for these two teams. The Wild earned a 7-game series victory in 2003 over the Avalanche, while the Avalanche earned a 6-game series victory in 2008. The Avalanche won 4 of 5 games this regular season. I'm going to take the Colorado Avalanche on this one. I think it's going to be a sweep. I don't think Minnesota has a shot in hell, and that's me being polite. They have 0 fucking shot. A shot. To me, if you're asking me, Doug, which one's the lock? This one's the lock. Avalanche easily get past Minnesota. They sweep them. Moving on. Better known as the St. Louis Blues will take on the Chicago Blackhawks, better known as my buddy Captain Ron, taking on CM Punk. The St. Louis Blues finished second overall in the Central Division, earning 111 points. The Blackhawks earned 107 points during the regular season and finished third overall in the Central Division. This is the 11th playoff meeting for these two teams, with Chicago having won 7 of the 10 previous series. The most recent meeting was back in 2002, which St. Louis won in 5 games. The Blues won 3 of the 5 games this year in the regular season. To me, this is another one that's going to go 7. Because both teams are very well good, and I think this is going to be another one that's going to be hard for people to pick. Unless, of course, you're a pro CM Punk, and you're just going to pick the fucking Blackhawks because you're a CM Punk fan. I'm taking the Blues. They are the better team than me overall, and I think the slump they had near the end, because they did get a slump a bit, I think that's going to be in the past. They're concentrating on the now. So I'm taking St. Louis Blues in 7. By the way, that series starts April 17th as well. Moving on to the Pacific, we start with the Anaheim Ducks taking on the Dallas Stars. The Ducks finished first overall in the Pacific Division, earning 116 points. Excuse me. The Dallas Stars earned 91 during the regular season and entered the playoffs as the Western Conference second wildcard team. This will be the third playoff meeting for these two franchises. The Mighty Ducks earned a 6-game series victory in 2003, while the Stars earned a 6-game victory in 2008. The Stars won 2 of the 3 games this regular season. I'm going to take the Ducks. I'm sure that doesn't surprise anybody. Don't get me wrong, I'm tipping my hat to Dallas. You were able to get in, and I do think you'll be able to at least squeak out a few wins better than the other wild card teams. So I'm going to say you will probably, but unfortunately Ducks will win it in 6. So yeah, I got to go with the Ducks in this one. They're just way better, way more talented. But as the old saying goes, hey, even the clock is wrong 2 times a day. A broken clock, excuse me. I've been a long day at work, just got home to do this. By the way, like I said, that series starts April 16th. Last one, we got the Sharks and Kings, baby. San Jose takes on Los Angeles. The Sharks finished second overall in the Pacific Division, earning 111 points, while the Kings earned 100 points, respectively, to finish third. This would be the third playoff meeting for these two teams. The Sharks earned a 6-game victory in 2011, but the Kings earned a 7-game series victory in the 2015 Conference Semifinals last year. By the way, the Kings also won 3 of the 5 games in this regular season. To me, of all the games in the Western Conference, this is the hardest one. Just because there you have, so this is a hard one for me. So, because I gotta be honest, I didn't get to watch a lot of the Kings games this year, nor the Sharks, just because, yeah, life. But anyway, I am going to take the Kings on this one. I think it's going to be a best of 7 as well. Another close one, I know. Well, I'm only seeing like about 2 sweeps, like I said. I think Kings have... If the Kings can win at least the first... They're going to have to win at least either the first 2 games on the road, or they're going to have to... Because I think they can win on the road. I just don't know if the... Sharks, I think, can as well, but the question is going to be who's got the better homestand after Game 3. We'll find out then. But I'm taking the Kings in 7. By the way, that starts on April 17th, that says. By the way, this is the last year in which National Canadian English language coverage is being split between the CBC television and the TSN family of networks, and French language telecasts RDS and RDS2. The NHL's 12-year contract with Rogers Communication will take effect beginning next season, with English language broadcasting by CBC, City, and Sportsnet family of channels. French language telecasts being sub-licensed to TVA Sports. And also, the league's current contract with Comcast NBC Universe for coverage in the United States will be in its 3rd year. Local coverage from regional sports networks will coexist with the national broadcast by NBC and associated channels, NBCSN, CNBC, and NHL Network during the first round. Selective NBCSN and CBNC games in the first round may be simulcast or Comcast Sportsnet or Hockey Night in Canada broadcast. The NBC Sports Group's family of channels would then gain exclusive rights to the second round and beyond. But just as a recap, like I said, I got the Bruins, Lightning, my Penguins, the Flyers. I think I said the Flyers, didn't I? Yeah, Flyers. Avalanche, Blues, Ducks, and the Kings all advancing to the next round. So do you agree or disagree with my picks? And until next time, I will see you, of course, for the NBA first round playoffs, which you will see that video on Thursday. And of course, back to my Let's Plays and a few other things. But until then, this is the DOUG signing off saying have a great Monday. Good luck to your team if they made the NHL playoffs. If they're not, enjoy the playoffs. So good luck to your team next year. And have a good day, folks. Woo!